Is Solo, a Star Wars story, good? After a long summer break, I'm ready to ask the question, is Star Wars good for the last time? For now, anyway. Hopefully, we get some new Star Wars movies on the way in the near future. But for now, back to Solo. I've only seen this movie once, which is very strange for me in the realm of Star Wars movies. I've seen The Last Jedi 3 or 4 times, and I think that's an absolutely terrible movie and Star Wars movie, so this is quite the outlier for me. The reason why I've only seen Solo once was mainly because of The Last Jedi. Solo came out, I think, a year or so after The Last Jedi, and I was just so frustrated with the handling of that movie by Disney. I assumed that Solo would have been another nonsensical plot with characters driven by little to no motivations or confusing ones, and I was just not ready to pay money and waste 2 hours of my life in a theater again at that point. I actually didn't give Solo a shot until like a year or so after the sequel trilogy was out. So, with that being said, I am pretty excited to get back into this and see what I've forgotten. And I just remember it being a good Star Wars movie. So we'll see if my opinion changes. And thanks for watching. So Rogue One had the balls to say, nope, not doing an opening crawl. We're cutting it, and we're gonna let the movie speak for itself. Solo halfway does that, which is very strange. They start with the same galaxy far, far away, and then they do a different intro text thing. I'm very confused. Why would you not use the Star Wars iconic intro text if you're going to use intro text, but just use something that's like very similar? It was very strange to me. Anyway, the text sets it up to be a movie about warring crime syndicates in this torn galaxy by the Empire, and it kind of sets it up for some good political intrigue and to see Han try to fight his way out from that. So, sounds like my kind of movie. A young Han jumps a speeder and runs away from a group of nameless thugs as he retreats back to Lady Proxima's hideout. There he talks to a girl about the coaxium deal that went bad, but he managed to keep a vial of it for himself. Convenient for him. I don't believe the story that he tells the girl, like, at all, just the way he tells it. But it does appear that maybe it's true, or at least he sticks to his guns when he's talking to Lady Proxima. But I don't think she believes him either, and it is about to go badly for him until Qi'ra, who's the girl's name, jumps in to defend him and kind of calms the situation for just a little bit. But Han then blows that moment of calm by pulling a thermal detonator out of his pocket, and it turns into a little bit of a funny scene. I liked it.
This is a thermal detonator that I just armed.
That's a rock.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. And you just made a clicking sound with your mouth.
It's a very Star Warsy scene there, and I quite enjoyed it. But Han uses his thermal detonator to break out a window behind Lady Proxima, and we find that she does not like the light very much, and they use that moment to make their escape. Practical effects for the aliens are always nice to see, so I'm glad that made a return here. And the impression of Harrison Ford / Han Solo is a good one from Alden Ehrenreich, if I'm saying that right. I'm sure I'm not. But a strong start, in my opinion. It continues with what is a longer chase scene than it needed to be, probably, as Han and Qi'ra make their escape on a sporty-looking speeder being chased by a big, fat box truck. It seems like the speeder should be much faster than it, but it seems very slow. It all feels very slow. In the end, the speeder does outpace it, and they have to do a cool little maneuver to squeeze through to get to the checkpoint, but they get stuck in the last second and have to hoof it the rest of the way. They make it all the way to the checkpoint, exchange their vial, coaxium, and get separated at the very last second. Han says he'll come back for Qi'ra and hides as the stormtroopers look for him, and he hears the sound of a a peppy version of the Imperial March playing off of a screen somewhere nearby. I thought that was kind of a fun little nod to the darkness of the Empire, but it being a little pepped up, join the Navy kind of tune. I enjoyed it. I don't know why. Anyway, I thought it was a little odd that Han then takes up the challenge. He goes and talks to the Navy recruiter and signs up, and there he is. He even gets his solo name from the guy. He never talks about being part of the Imperial Navy in the original trilogy, so I thought that was a little weird, but I guess he had to get his piloting skills from somewhere, so why not? It fits, just like his name coming from the guy. I'm not sure if I like it or not. I lean towards liking it, but it just seemed a little, I don't know, shoehorned in. Like I find it hard to believe he didn't already have a last name, I guess. I don't know. Weird stuff. But maybe he's just an orphan and never had one. But here he gets it, and it kind of makes sense, I guess. So we'll go with it. A quick cut to 3 years later, we find Han in a very not Navy-like scene with a ground battle and explosions going off everywhere. He finds himself in the company of Beckett and his compatriots, who are clearly not Imperial troopers. And we also find out that Han was dishonorably discharged from the Navy for disobeying orders. He plans to sneak off the planet with Beckett, but Beckett has other plans and gets him thrown into prison with the Beast. Luckily, Han speaks Sherwook somehow, and the relationship between Han and Chewbacca begins. Unlike the origins of the Solo name that I wasn't sure I liked, I really do like this relationship start here. Just seeing Han and Chewbacca slug it out in a mud pit and then break out together is a lot of fun. And Han speaking Sherwook is hilarious, and so is the little shower scene they share after they escape.
We couldn't have done this maybe like one at a time?
The two of them are allowed to join Beckett's crew to help with this train robbery. There are plenty of seeds of trouble being planted, from competition to the job and Empire stakeouts and just doubts of Han and Chewie's abilities. The campfire scene that happens before the heist is funny and sweet and just shows that while these people are certainly scoundrels, they're really just trying to live their lives in a galaxy that's been destroyed by the Empire. Han ends up getting his classic DL-44 pistol by the end of it, but between this and the little bit of Chewie needing a nickname before this, just kind of feels like they're starting to like force everything about Han's character into this one movie, and it's kind of annoying, but at the same time I appreciate the dedication to do so. The train sequence itself is a great bit of Star Wars, with shooting and explosions and plenty of one-liners to go around. The duel between Beckett and the pirate leader is particularly cool to me. It's actually so good, the whole sequence, that after I watched it while taking notes, I just went back and watched the whole thing again, and I think it's one of my favorite Star Wars scenes ever, right up there with the opening to Revenge of the Sith. And I don't know if it gets much better than this, Star Wars wise. It ends with Val and Rio of Beckett's crew dead, and Han saving the day with his piloting skills and in-the-moment intelligence by dropping the load and saving them all in the end with a freaking sweet explosion. Unfortunately, the bot's job was for the Crimson Dawn, a major crime syndicate in the galaxy, and now they are in debt to them. Beckett actually gives Han a way out, but he stupidly doesn't take it because he's nothing if not loyal to a fault, and that still holds true in this movie as well. So they go to Dryden Voss to ask for forgiveness, and they do so in a pretty cool upscale cantina scene, complete with awkward singing alien, and it's just a fun little touch. The practical effects for aliens are still present, which is always appreciated, as always, and he runs into his old flame Kira, small world. They make a deal with Voss for their lives to steal some more coaxium from a rival crime syndicate, the Pikes. He sends Kira with them and makes it pretty clear that if they fail here, they will all be dead. And the look on Kira's face makes it pretty clear that she knows that her fate will be the same as theirs at this point, for vouching for Han mainly. So they're off to find a fast ship, and who else has it than Lando Calrissian. Donald Glover does a great job playing a young Lando, just like Alden does a great job playing Han. And it's a good thing, too, because the whole movie probably would have felt off if those two roles weren't portrayed well. And I am happy to say they are, and it all feels really good. The interactions between the two of them are great, and just the small subtleties of him insulting Han by calling him Han and working that in from Billy D. Williams, saying the name wrong in the original trilogy is a fun little nod. And them playing cards together against each other is fun, and Han losing because Lando cheated. The detail on the aliens in the card game is also really cool. So just a great scene there. The post-game negotiations are no different. They start negotiating him to help out, and Beckett comes in and demands 25%, and Lando accepts it. Just the subtle name drop of Aura Singh, him killing her to a Star Wars nerd like me, along with the name drop of Bossk earlier on, really shows you that Beckett is someone in this bounty hunting profession. Just the fact that Lando backs down without taking any more than what was originally offered also gives you some credibility there, because I mean Lando is shown to not be anything small in the game either. So I really like Tobias Beckett as a character, and maybe Woody Harrelson's got something to do with that, because he's always great in any scene. But he's a big reason why I think I end up liking this movie as much as I do. L3 is a fun, spunky, female-voiced droid, and I'm a bit mixed on her. The one thing that she does is plays into this heavy-handed equal rights for droids thing, which is a bit too much for my taste. Maybe if it was done more seriously and not with a comedic edge, with a point that should, or at least could, be more of a serious point. Other than that, she doesn't really do a lot to the story, other than have a weird relationship with Lando.
How would that work?
It works.
In the end, they get on the ship, which is the Millennium Falcon, and start making their way to Kessel. Han has a scene with Kira here that is a little different than what I would feel for him, but I guess since Kira is kind of his first love, he's a little softer and more romantic than he is in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back with Leia, which is good. It means there's some character growth in between here and there, and that's a good thing. Beckett is not pleased about their relationship, though, because he does not trust her, or anybody, really. Han tells him that that's no way to live, and he responds with, "It's the only way to live." It's this interesting foreshadowing of kind of who Han will become in this scoundrel life, but that he's always this good guy at heart. So we see kind of where he ends up at the start of A New Hope, but then brings back to by the end of Return of the Jedi. So we see that just that little bit of negative character arc for Han, and I think it's really well done. They arrive on Kessel, and the plan is to use Han and Chewie as slave gifts while Kira and Beckett subdue leadership. The plan really goes off without a hitch, and Han and Chewie are able to make their way down to the mines and locate the fuel and start to get out. But Chewie breaks off whenever he finds some other Wookiees being used as slaves. And I really liked this little exchange more than I should have, probably.
That's what I said!
Between Chewie releasing the slaves and L3 and shackling all the droids, there's plenty of chaos in order for them to make their escape. A couple little great things that I thought were in these scenes was Lando doing a Zap Brannigan style audio journal of his adventures, because of course he is, and also the Wookiees rubbing Han's head I thought was really fun. L3 doesn't quite make it off of Kessel, but she would have died happy knowing that she freed some droids in the process, at least. Kira comes off of the Falcon with double-fisted thermal detonators as she chucks them at the bad guys, which is a really cool little bit. And they make their way off Kessel without too much more trouble. And Han gets to take his pilot seat in the Falcon for the first time, which is pretty neat. And it doesn't take long to have to put his pilot skills to the test as they run into an Imperial blockade of a Star Destroyer that immediately deploys its TIE fighters. A space fight ensues, and a small but important note in the middle of it is that Kira is not a pilot and does not know how to do everything. Having your characters have some weaknesses is important, Star Wars. Anyway, the last fighter, they lose their gun, and they do a very Star Wars-y maneuver that reminds me that I am indeed watching a Star Wars movie at the end to get the last TIE fighter killed and be on their way. With L3's brain taken out and put into the ship, it navigates them close to the Maw. It's a massive gravity well, and there's a large energy-feeding monster that lives around it. The monster's not much of a inconvenience for them. They quickly get rid of it by dumping the escape ship. However, they can't get out of the gravity well's pull, so they take a little drop of the fuel that they stole and drop it into the reactor for a NOS shot for the Falcon to get out. And in classic Falcon fashion, it almost doesn't work, but it does last second, and they get out of there. And it's just really cool to see the team on the ship come up with solutions to the problems on the fly. It just felt very Star Warsy, and I liked it a lot. So great scenes all around here in this little space battle and exploration through it. So I wish there was more cool Star stuff, space travel stuff like this. You don't really see a lot of it. There's some of it in Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan's running from Jango Fett, and a little bit in Empire Strikes Back with the asteroid and the big worm. I wish there was a little bit more of that in Star Wars. That's fun stuff. The Falcon makes it to the refinery with its last gas, and we have some more really fun Star Wars dialogue and interactions between Han and Lando.
She is a hell of a ship. I hate you.
He and Kira chat about who he is, and she sees him for the sweet, good-hearted guy that he is, while he's trying to portray this outlaw facade, and she kind of sees through it. And I really didn't really like this scene because I felt like the movie's done a pretty good job at this point of layering that onto us, showing us Beckett and Han, how they contrast, but how Beckett says he needs to be more like him if he's going to survive, and this scene really just kind of takes a sledgehammer and hits you in the face with that. It just really killed any subtlety, which I thought was a nice touch. So I wish they would have just cut this little bit of dialogue. Enfys Nest, the pirate lord from earlier in the movie, shows up and somehow tracked them through the Maw, I guess. I guess if they knew that they were stealing unrefined fuel from Kessel and knew that this refinery was the closest one, it makes some sense that they could head them off here. But anyway, she takes off her helmet and reveals that she's just trying to fight back against the Empire and the crime syndicates that work alongside the Empire from destroying the galaxy, and that's what she would use this fuel for. Han, being the good guy, can't help himself and hatches a plan to help Enfys Nest instead of the crime lords. Beckett bows out of the backstabbing of the Crimson Dawn, but he and Kira go to make the deal. On the way up in the elevator, an ominous line is delivered from Kira.
You don't know everything.
Just a bit more more than you.
It's a red herring, though, because it's not Kira that backstabs Han. It's actually Beckett. And I completely forgot about all the twist endings here at the end, and I was very thankful for it because it's very good, very very well done ending, as Han was actually anticipating them backstabbing each other, so he had the Enfys Nest gang wait to ambush the people that were going to ambush them, and had the real fuel with them there on the deck with Dryden. However, Beckett, seeing that the real fuel is there, shoots the guards and has this great line.
Thinking. I prefer to be the only one holding a blaster while I'm doing it.
Did not see any of this coming when I watched it. Maybe it's all a little too fantastical, but I think it's really fun, and I liked it a lot. This leaves Kira, Voss, and Han in a bit of a Mexican standoff, with Kira not really knowing which side that she'll take. The fight between Han and Voss is pretty one-sided, as Han is really outmatched, but some of that possible force sensitivity he has gets him through the fight with some dips, ducks, dodges, and dives out of the way, and ultimately Kira betrays Han, but she unbetrays him by fighting Voss, and in a short but as close to lightsaber fight as you're going to get in a non-Jedi movie, kills him in pretty quick order, and she does well, I guess. Anyway, then she sends Han on his way to go chase down Beckett and save Chewie, and then re-betrays Han by contacting the leader of the Crimson Dawn, who just happens to be Darth freaking Maul. I forgot about all of this whenever I watched this, and I'm really sad that this movie's not going to get a sequel. I would have loved to see all of these characters, Kira, Lando, Han, come face to face with Darth Maul in some way, shape, or form. It probably doesn't make sense in any regard, but it would have been really cool, and it's just one more thing I can blame The Last Jedi for, I guess. Everything ties up with a final confrontation between Han and Beckett, where Han pretty unceremoniously just shoots him right in the chest, which was definitely the right move, because Beckett would have almost certainly killed him if they would have actually drawn off. But they don't, and it's a darn shame, because I really liked Beckett as a character, but he did his job in showing Han what not to become in this scoundrel life, and I think that is something that Han takes with him throughout his career, if you will. But between killing him, his first real mentor, and then seeing his first love, Kira, abandon him there on the sands, really cements his descent into that character that we ultimately see at the beginning of A New Hope. He's not that person yet, but someone he will definitely become after learning some life lessons from this. Enfys Nest actually offers him a leadership role in this new rebellion that he's helped fuel with this lifeblood that he's given to them in the fuel. But he turns it down, probably because of everything he's just went through. He's probably not really ready to trust people just yet, outside of Chewbacca, it looks like. And I just think they did a really good job with this character arc of Han being this super good guy to being more reserved and guarded and scoundrelly at the end of it. But we aren't quite done. Han takes his payment of 1 vial of coaxium and uses it to buy into a Sabacc game after tracking down Lando. He is angry with Lando at first, but baits him in with that and sees the card machine on his wrist, and then pulls him in and greets him like they're old friends, which is a fun callback to how they first interact with each other on Bespin in Empire Strikes Back. So that was a fun little thing, I thought. And then they proceed to play Sabacc, and it goes exactly the same way the first time did, with Han running the table up until the very end, where they go all in against each other, except this time when Lando tries to pull his green Psylop out of his card machine, it's not there because Han swiped it from him, and he plays it and wins the Millennium Falcon. And he and Chewie get on the ship and take off to begin their long and tumultuous relationship and career with Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine. I think this is the best Star Wars movie. Don't hear what I'm not saying. It's not the best movie in the Star Wars universe. I think that strongly belongs to Rogue One, followed closely by Revenge of the Sith. But those two movies don't really feel like a Star Wars movie. Revenge of the Sith does for the first half or so, but then it turns very dark as it needs to show that turn of Anakin to Darth Vader. A solo Star Wars story gets the perfect balance of good dialogue mixed with Star Wars clunky, funny dialogue and funny scenes and Star Wars explosions and space battles and everything is there that you want it to have. It also has callbacks to the original, showing that there's attention to the detail and just a love for this movie and Star Wars in general, which I think has a lot of value to it. And it's just a real shame that we won't most likely ever see Emilia Clarke and Donald Glover and Alden Heinrich, or however you say the name, sorry for mangling your name, reprise these roles. So I think they all do a really good job, especially Emilia Clarke. And it's just, like I said earlier, I really wish that we could see Darth Maul on the screen with them at some point. That would be just so awesome. It took me way too long to get to all these movies, but now that I have done it, I am super happy to say that I have done it. I think I'm going to do a tier-based ranking, or maybe just a ranking of all of them, maybe both, on a different video format, probably in the near future. I think it'll just be fun to have where I think all of them fit in a place here on the channel for everybody to look at, and then can watch my reviews in depth of them if they like. However, to those of you who have been watching along to the series or are just now catching up, either way, I am super glad that you are watching, and just the couple of people that check out the videos, I can't thank you enough for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like, and tell me what you liked or didn't like, dislike if you didn't like it, and tell me what you want to see next. With all the Star Wars movies out of the way, there are plenty of other Star Wars stories I could look at, but I also have some other ideas, different ways that I'm thinking of going. So stay tuned and check out the next video when it comes out. And above all else, just thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you later.